What the fuck? mONESY is going to Falcons. I cannot believe it, guys. It is the reunion of Nico and mONESY, one of Counter-Strike's greatest duos, and one of the most skilled duos we have ever seen, man. ZywOo and Rops came together and have been lighting up the first half of this Counter-Strike year like no other team can, and everyone else is beginning that arms race to attempt to even remotely compete with Vitality. And now we see what that has resulted in. It's not a surprise to a degree. G2 has struggled for this entire season due to numerous factors. And I, for one, have never been a believer in the Snacks IGL project. I think he is serviceable, but I don't think he ever did anything worth getting this big of a call up. And now it has cost G2 not only their Nico superstar, who was eventually going to go anyways, I guess, but if they had been able to keep him as they say they would have been able to if they wanted, now they've also lost mONESY. Those are two blockbuster players that are on the level of, FaZe losing both Rops and Twists within the span of a year or 2 years, pretty much, and letting both of them go for free. It's a blunder of almost equal proportions, in my opinion. And to now have Falcons have a real duo that can dominate while Magisk just sits back and does his anchor duties. And as long as Tessus and Kixan can be serviceable, this team can be more than enough. So it'll be very interesting to see how they go forward from here. But additionally, the other real shocking move that kind of came out of absolutely nowhere for, regular folks like us is that Eternal Fire have been purchased by Auroa, not the organization, the roster of, Xantares, Yota, Wacadia, Woxic, and Major have all been purchased by the traditionally CIS organization Auroa. They have dropped their team, and those players are all sticking together and are apparently very close to finding another organization, according to Patsy's Twitter. But to see a historically CIS organization drop a CIS roster and pick up a top 5 Turkish roster is staggering. Eternal Fire have made every single playoff this year, and if you saw my previous way too long video, you'll remember that Buckethead brought up that they actually have not won a playoff game since January, but they still have made every single playoffs this year, and this is a huge sign of confidence from the organization that they are getting signed by. Everyone and their mother is bringing to the attention that, Turkish laws and sponsorship laws in Turkey make it difficult for them to get betting sponsorships, which are the predominant form of sponsorship in the Counter-Strike space. So this is a move for them to, make the org some money and also be able to receive better sponsorships and receive better support from an organization, which a team already competing at this level consistently this year, if they're able to get better support staff, get better support in general to help their ability to travel, maintain comfortability, energy levels on the road, we may see Eternal Fire very easily finally pick up that trophy that they've been chasing all year, and I'm hoping that we will, because I know Xantares, especially above everyone else, has been talking about how exhausted they are and how he just felt like a walking corpse at times. But that is staggering to me that it is also an indicator of the CIS region potentially being in a further downswing, obviously with the war in Ukraine. It is split the region's talent in a pretty substantial way. But to see a organization that, you would typically think of along the likes of Entropic and Aurora being peers, and Spirit back before they became what they were now, when they were a team that predominantly held people like, Patsy and even Dexter back in the day himself. Wonderful was on Sprout. But they're no longer a pipeline organization for up-and-coming CIS talent. They are now a Turkish elite team. That is wild to say in and of itself, but I guess it just is a sign of the further decline of the CIS region as we go on, and, the rise of these lesser regions and these newer teams and these newer organizations that we're seeing grow stronger. Additionally, we also have the confirmation that Suihy will be joining Liquid officially on loan in place of JKS. Rather funnily, JKS is bench again ahead of IEM Melbourne. So now he was benched in G2 before his home event, and now he is before Sydney, and he's benched here before his home event. Dude just cannot catch a break cosmically, which is kind of funny, kind of sad. Sorry, dude, but it's pretty funny. I think Suihy's addition to Liquid is a no-brainer. I think if you are Pekka over at G2, obviously I know nothing about being a GM, and this is all baseless speculation. The fact that G2 has only managed to lose players and only sign players in the quality of Malbs and Heavy God, they're phenomenal players whom I have a great deal of respect for. But it just feels like G2 needed something right now to make this happen, especially if you're selling a player on the quality of mONESY. If he's walking for any amount of money, they'll be able to buy a phenomenal Opper. So why not just buy that better IGL and a decent Opper? You could make two solid upgrades. But like I said, Suihy is going to Liquid on loan from Mouse, which is, I guess shout out to Mouse for continuing to play hardball because they loaned him to Gamer Legion. He did not sign with Gamer Legion. Then he came back to Mouse. Now he's been benched, and now he's on loan to Liquid. They are being rather shrewd over there. But I hope that we will see, a bit more out of Ultimate because getting him a fellow countryman on the team could be fun, someone who understands his personality a bit more. We have Twists giving up the mantle of IGL finally and going back to being a phenomenal mid-rounder and star rifler. We have Naf just continuing to be Naf, being a floor. And we have Nerds. So this team, by all rights, this should push Liquid once they get up and running. I'm expecting top 5, top 6 out of these guys. But I know to temper my expectations, so we will chill on that. We'll give them plenty of time. But the other staggering thing I would say between all of this is that all these crazy moves are going on behind the scenes. There's no way that other people don't know. Na'Vi are staying the way they are, and we still don't know anything about G2's upcoming changes. Who knows what's going to be going on in the coming days, what new blockbuster stories are even going to drop, because it's staggering that something as big as this can just happen before the major. Other than that, I guess I'll drop a shout out to TC, who's over at Passion UA. I was afraid we were going to see TC kind of stuck in the abyss of nothingness for a while, but seeing him find a quality home like that is great to see, and I hope he's able to work with them and continue to build his resume as a coach. Complexity have been on quite the tear on the lower tier of Counter-Strike. I think they went 13-0 and won 5 in a row to go through the Yala Compass qualifier. They're looking very good. JT's been looking very good. So seeing how they compete against top competition now that the expectations of what they were under Elige are gone and that they have a bit more stability under them and chemistry as a team, it'll be very exciting. But goodness, what a day. Am I right, guys? What a 24-hour period. Who knows what we'll see next? Let me know down below what your thoughts are on today's developments, and what do you think could possibly happen next? How could any of these guys fix things? I'm finally going to make that freaking Elige and Simple video I've been talking about, but things keep happening. The scene is on fire, and this is kind of more important. But either way, have a great rest of your day, everyone. I have been CJ. Bye-bye.